Hi guys, welcome back. I'm top music attorney, Miss Krystle. Welcome to the Top Music Attorney Music Business School. I make these videos because I was once a broke, starving artist, and I've learned a lot of lessons along the way, and I want you to avoid all my failures and pitfalls and achieve success faster. So that's why we do this show. Welcome everyone on in. As we're doing this live, be sure to drop your questions. And as always, where are you checking in from and what time is it? Hey, hey. All right. So we have the newsy things. Has anyone been watching the Gwyneth trial? Has anyone been glued to the TV? Was it quite as exciting as the Johnny Depp trial? I don't know about that, but it nonetheless has been interesting. And we do have an update. We know what happened, we know who won, and we're gonna be talking about it. And it's funny because, I'm gonna let you know right now. Gwen won. And it's kind of funny. I'll play the video for you a little bit later, but she actually leaned down and said something to the guy who sued her when she was leaving. And I feel like she may have said like F you or told you so, something sassy. And I kind of respect it. We're going to talk about why. We're going to watch the video, but in any case, interesting, fun. And then Post Malone, for those of you who are fans of Post Malone, he was getting his pants sewed off. A musician said, took advantage of him, didn't pay him. And it's always interesting with this and the times that I have done trials, because guess what? You can settle a case at any point during the case, right? You can even settle it after you've had a trial, right? And come to new terms. So in any case, they had a big fight. They battled it out in court. And then they were set to go to trial. And on the eve of trial, decided to settle. So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit more. So yeah, hi guys. Sorry, let me go to the chat. Hello. Hey, hey. Good to see everyone. I was having a little bit of a moment a while ago because I'm suing my network, and by my network I mean my phone network. When you are running multiple businesses and you are like out and about, you need your phone. Okay, really important. And so I had like this 30-minute block where it was the only time that I could have this big conference call and to take care of things. We have this huge deal that's pending. And I'm like, all right, guys, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to be en route. And the time comes, I call the number, and it's like, you don't have a network. Your phone's not connected to a network. And so, I do all the things, restarting, praying to God, like all the things to try to get it to work. And it just didn't work. And just was very stressful. So that was a disaster that then continued for like 45 minutes. So it wasn't even like, oh, it kind of went down for a few minutes. It was a big thing. So much so that I think I am done with this company. And I'm not going to say names. Maybe later in the live stream I'll get loose. I don't know. I'm not going to say it right now. But I am so done because of this experience. So anyway, that's where we're at. So hi guys. Let's go. We're going to run something. What do we got? Let's run an intro that Orko is going to be on the podcast with us, and we're going to be getting into some amazing artist tips. I know you guys are going to love it. So again, as you guys are checking in, let us know where are you checking in from and how are you doing. I'm gonna run the intro and we will be right back. Hi guys, I'm top music attorney Miss Krystle. I'm an entertainment attorney, public speaker, and creator of the Top Music Attorney School for artists and record labels. I'm the owner of Dukes Up Records, and most importantly, I'm an independent artist. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss my weekly videos giving you my best tips on the music business, industry news updates, and teaching you how to stay legally protected. Let's go. In my superpower techniques that I tried this week, I heard someone say, actually a couple people say, they're like, you shouldn't set an alarm. I'm like, wait, what are you going to do? You have to get up, you have things to, get to. And they go, don't set an alarm. Just go to bed at the exact same time every day, and then you'll just wake up naturally. So I've been trying to do that. And that means I have to be really disciplined on getting to sleep early, which for me has been 10. So I go to bed at 10 p.m., which is pretty early. I feel very like uncomfortable about it. It just feels weird. But I've been doing it, and for a few days, I have not been setting my alarm. And by that, I mean I do set my alarm. It's like an emergency alarm, just in case, but I keep waking up beforehand. So I don't know. It seems to be interesting, working. I'm doing it. Hello to Argentina. What's up? All right. Be sure to hit that like button. That's right. Okie dokie. So we're gonna be talking about what record labels do and why you're not being successful in the music business. And we're gonna do actually the two segments with that Orko, and then we're gonna run a little music video, but we're gonna do that later. So I'm doing stuff a little bit out of order. So I hope Mr. That Orko is ready because I'm gonna bring him in. Are you guys ready? You love the mug? Thank you. In fact, we have a little update. I know you guys have been asking for the mug and you wanted some merch, and so I kind of did a thing. Let's ask that Orko. Hey,
Hey,
what's
shout
the
out to the
thing?
community.
What's the thing we did?
Well, I'm very excited and happy to announce that I have finally updated the merch store. So there is new TMA merch, which is really exciting. We've been getting a lot of requests for the mugs. I've gotten requests for shirts. So it's very exciting to finally have this
Yeah, and you
up
can
and
even get
available.
there's a few different options of everything. I hope you guys are so excited about this. So yeah, go to it's hyperlinked from Top Music Attorney. Is that right?
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna share it up so I can give
Yeah.
you some of that real fast.
So you guys can
Let's
have your morning tea or coffee and be like, what should I do with my music career today?
so we got some new shirts. Got a nice little cartoon of you shirt, top music attorney.
Can you
We
zoom in a little bit? Like make your like
yeah.
click on one of those and then just make your screen really big.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's not really zooming.
It's Control Plus.
No, I know it's saying it's zoom, but for some reason Shopify is not letting me zoom
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay. Well, in any case, yeah, so we have
Yeah.
a couple different versions of the mugs. We have a couple different versions of the shirts. I know you guys have been asking for those for a
Stickers.
while. So they are here.
Very cool though. I'm very
Hello
excited
to
about this.
Tennessee. Saying goodbye to my wallet. Amazing. Oops. Okay. All right. So with that all being said, I kind of wanted to jump into our discussions. Do you want to start with the news first, or do you want to get into the artist segments?
Let's get into the artist stuff.
All right. Beautiful. So what I want to talk about is this hot question and hot topic of why you're not successful in the music business. I think someone who's watching this right now might be having some struggles, and a lot of the common struggles are commonly kind of across the board. And so we're going to talk about it and give you what you need to know so you can actually get out of your slump and get to the next level. What do you say? Let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
All right. So, the kind of pillar, the number one pillar when it comes to kind of building yourself, I would say is building your audience. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that is one of the most difficult things to do, not only because there is an art and there's a skill set in building an audience, but you have to get over that initial hump of even putting yourself out there and leaving yourself kind of vulnerable in a way.
Yeah, and I think vulnerability is an important point, right? I think that's why a lot of us might not post ever, right? I think some of us even have a lot of resistance even being on social media. But even
True.
for the people that I speak with who are like, I would never get on TikTok. I mean, they're still on Facebook, they're still on Instagram. So there's a psychological kind of holdback, but I think it comes from fear.
I think it's that. I think that a lot of times it's people or have a hard time with change, especially as we get older. And so, before it was, I'm not going to go to Facebook. Facebook is just for college kids. Then it was, I'm never going to go to Instagram because Instagram's what all the kids are. And I think it's like the kids kind of have their finger on the pulse there as far as what's kind of going to be the next thing. And I think the more that we kind of jump on these trends earlier, the less more time that we can save ourselves from wasting, from resisting before we eventually get on it. Case in point, I never thought I was going to get on Instagram. I never thought I was going to get on Facebook. I needed to continue to need it. So, what was your journey been with just putting yourself out there? Because I mean, you made a transition for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I got on the whole Gary V influencer kind of thing where just his messaging really spoke to me, and he just obviously is always like, you got to put yourself out there, you got to put out content. And so in like 2018 was when I really first started doing any kind of promotion for my music, even promotion for what I was doing, becoming a lawyer and my law firm.
Mm.
So it was scary, and to be honest, taking pictures, taking selfies felt awful, because I'm just like, this is so vain and I feel so silly.
How long do you think it takes to make that adjustment before you're kind of used to it? Because it's all everything you try new is always going to be kind of scary, and putting yourself out there and
Sure.
like leaving yourself like when you're sitting there taking 50 photos to maybe get one that you're comfortable with posting. It's just kind of thing. What do you how long do you think it should feel like it takes before you kind of are more comfortable to where it's not such a big of a deal where you're not super cringe?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely your mindset on it. When you make a decision about what it means, then that's how you change your mindset, right? So if
Mm.
you're like, this is silly, this is a waste of time, if those are the thoughts that you're having when you're making your content, then you're already it's a losing game. But if you shift your thinking, which can happen immediately, it can happen a year later, it can never happen, right? It's up to you. But if you do switch your thinking and you're like, I'm doing this to grow my business, I'm doing this to grow my music and to
Yeah.
connect with fans who might like what I'm doing. So if you change your perception a little bit about why you're doing it, then I think a little bit of that fear will start to go away.
Yeah.
All right, so then that's where we start is audience. If you were trying to be successful and you are not being successful in the music business, more than likely you need to get on social media. And I'm telling you right now, you got to get on all the platforms. Okay, so you might be like, oh, I don't really want to do Twitter. Don't do Twitter if you don't want to. But
Mm.
I'm just saying, as far as like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, you can literally use the same video and post it to all the places. So just do it. So then the next main area that we see artists are not being successful and having the most problems with is figuring out how to actually pay for their careers,
Yes.
right?
Yes. That's a
So
tough one because it is very. I'll tell you what. Um, Music is a unique thing to have as your passion and what you want to do, especially if you want to make it your business. It's one of the few things where you're always putting money into it, like you know what I mean, and getting very little back, whether it be for your instruments or your programs or your shows and stuff. And if you aren't earning, you could go years without ever earning any kind of money because it starts as something that you really love, that you're like, hey, maybe I can make some money with this. So like it's definitely one of those things that comes up a lot, and you have to be smart with how you handle your money and how good you are with your other resources.
yeah, even just trying to keep track of how you spend your money, I think is a good first step, right? Because number one, you need to know where the money is going, because you do make money one way or another, whether you have kind of, a side gig or a main
Mm.
gig, and then now you're doing kind of music as time permits, weekends, evenings, and you're working towards making music your full-time career, or you're already at that place. Either way, you have to keep track of your money because you have a certain amount that's coming in, you have a certain amount that's going out. And sometimes people just don't
It's
even look at this. They
hard.
don't, you got to do your bookkeeping. Come on.
It's hard to do, and I mean, even now, like that's something that I'm still not amazingly great at. You know what I mean? It's something that we all are always constantly working on as far as I'm trying to get better organized. You know what I mean? I got to get my money kind of right, and that's one of those things. So when you're doing that, and if you don't have money, like I was saying, you have to rely on your other talents, your other resources. You need to rely on your networking so you can make these connections with other people, so you can, borrow equipment, do favors, exchange of favors, so you can get studio time. I was in an electronica band, and when I first started out, all I knew is I wanted to be like something like the Prodigy, right? So like I just kind of wanted that setup where it was just like, synths and then vocals kind of going on, but like I didn't have any synths, so I hooked up with a guy that had synths, and I wrote on his synths, and we started a project together. But there's so many people making music, collaborations are so easy to happen.
Well, and that's a good point, right? Because you're talking about, well, even if you don't have a lot of money, there's ways that you can still facilitate what you need to do, right? So, and even for me, I was like bartering and just
Mm,
convincing people to work with me and do music videos with me when I was a teenager. But when it comes to actually monetizing, we're not talking necessarily about, hey, fans that follow me, now go buy something that I'm selling. You
mm,
totally can do that, but sometimes it might be premature. I'm talking about monetizing and how can you either learn a skill or use a skill that you already know. Let's say you're a producer, right? You can sell those services, right? You can produce for
Mm.
other people. And sometimes what's interesting, and I even learned this when I was a teenager and I started my first business, you have to just be good at something someone else isn't good
Right.
at. So if, for example, you go and you watch like a 2 hour tutorial on how to do a Facebook ad setup, which by the way, there's a lot of those free, types of long form tutorials on YouTube. You go watch one of those, you learn how to do it that one time, and now you can monetize that and have people paying you. Some of these marketers like charge $1,500 to set up ads and run them for businesses. So I'm just saying,
Yeah,
there's
don't take
ways
for
to.
granted. Don't take for granted the things that come really easy to you that you just assume that everybody knows how to do. So like if you are, happen to be good, like you said, like at Facebook ads or just something like that, um, you just assume everybody else is good. Like, no, you have a skill set if you can make, the needle kind of move on it. If you're a producer and you know how to mix and master and you're really good at it, like you have a skill set. Hell, if you could fix somebody's car, you have a skill set. So, like, just use those skill sets.
That's right. All right. So, you go from building the audience to now you're finding a way to monetize in a way that connects you to the industry that you want to be in. You want to be in music, right?
Mm.
And so you can get a job doing the thing you want to do so that you can meet people, network. And honestly, when it comes to networking, the best way to make friends with high powered people is to be able to do something for them. So, again, as you are learning how to set up your Facebook ads or how to produce, or do anything in between,
Mm.
you can approach and be like, hey, that Orko, you seem like, someone important. I want to make friends with you. I would love to, send you a 30-minute video on how to do this thing. Like, you
Yeah.
can offer value to then get goodwill in
I've
return.
I've made a lot of friends just by doing that, you know what I mean? Like people that I want to help or people that I think are interesting or I like what they do. It's like, I will just kind of do something for them or offer to help and something and then you kind of network and become friends. When you just kind of cold go up to somebody and go, "Hey, we should collab." I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that if you're a bot. I mean that this is I'm speaking if you're like DMing people for collaborations. It's like a lot of times your stuff is just going to get ignored. Um, but when you're out there, so just bring more value is just to your point of what I'm saying. But when you're out there in person and networking, there's plenty of ways that you can network. So again, if you're a producer or if you're a mixer, why aren't you getting into any kind of live sound, trying to get work for some clubs? You know what I mean? Like work in the places where these people, musicians and artists are frequently, visit, get a street team job at the radio station that you
Sure.
like.
Yeah.
There's different ways that you can get involved with that community and just kind of go to aux parties, all kinds of stuff. There's things
It's
that you can
funny.
do.
One of the people on my team, she started as a street team member. We had a virtual street team. So whenever we had like posts going out or something going on, the virtual street team would go and get the word out and share and do all these things. And over time, she just was there and helping. And eventually, I was like, what else can you do? And so then I had her start working on some other things. So you literally can get a job
Right.
working in a music business capacity by just being around and doing the things. So then where I would say the third like area where we see a lot of artists not being successful in the music business is not having kind of a structured team. Okay? And what I like to say is that, sometimes
Mm.
it's too early to get a team, right? Which would mean like get your manager, get your agent, getting, a PR rep. If you don't have anything going on and you're not posting and you're not building your socials and you're not releasing music, it's probably premature for you to be like, I need a manager. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think that, and the thing of it is don't look if you're early on in your career, if you're kind of getting started out, you definitely don't need a manager. You need to learn all the things that you need the manager to take over for you first before you have a manager. I think anytime that you hire team members, it's a lot of it is finding somebody that it's to free up your time first and foremost because so you can create, so you can do the thing that you love to do, so you can focus on just creating the art, but you need to know all the things that your manager needs to do, your agent needs to do, all of these different team, your operations manager, and you need to know how to do them so that you can not only hold your team accountable, but like, they're there to add value and pour gasoline on the fire rather than just kind of taking advantage of you while you overpay. Like, how do you deal with when, because a lot of these managers, they want 10, 15%, and they're really not doing much more than you could be doing for yourself. Like, what would you say for like team members, stuff like that?
Yeah, and not even to say that like your manager is screwing you over
Oh
and he
no,
or
no.
she is shady. That might not even be the case. That sometimes is the case, but that might not be the case. Maybe you just have someone who doesn't know what to do. They don't know how to help, right? And that would make sense if they don't see what's going on or have leadership from you. So I'm always encouraging artists to really like step up and to be the boss of their
Mhm.
careers, in that no one can do your job better than you as far as how you need to show up, what
Absolutely.
kind of music, what kind of social media. And so as soon as you decide to put on the obligation hat for your own career, then all of a sudden people are like, oh, I'm a manager and I see what you're doing with X, Y, and Z, and this is how I could help. So it all just kind of like starts to mesh together. So that's why I'm doing it particularly in this order. When it's how are you not being successful in the business? We start here. You're not building your audience. And we go here, you aren't making money because you're not figuring out ways to monetize your skill set or monetize your audience if applicable. And then the next layer is, well, maybe you don't have a team yet. That could be good or bad.
I think it's incredibly important to have a team. And I mean, don't think about it for a team as somebody like you're hiring a staff. If you can just get some friends together that, kind of believe in what you do, and as you become better at what you do and get yourself out there, you're like you said before, you are going to find people that are more interested in what you're doing. But just have somebody that is into your project. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've been at bands and you just have, supporters out there that just want to help in any way possible. And so, you're starting off small, but I would just say make sure that you're not giving any ownership or anything to anybody right off the bat. So like that's what I'm saying. You don't really need a manager or anything when you're getting it off the ground.
Hey, you could be like CJ, holding costumes side stage at 14 years old. Hey, I mean,
Yeah,
just kind of
absolutely.
just be in the mix. It's funny. This guy today was talking about how he's like, I met this person who wants to join my label, and he's the real deal. And I'm like, well, what makes you think he's the real deal? And he goes, he was backstage taking pictures with Nicki Minaj, and he like starts name dropping. And I go, so what?
Yeah.
Right? To the extent that just because you're backstage, it could be the most important person on the planet. It could be nobody. So, don't get a little blindsided. But in any
And
case,
always be cautious of those people too that are always like name dropping stuff too.
sure. No, and that's fine. Everyone likes to flex a little. And then, where I see artists are not being successful in the music business is that they are a victim of the state of the music industry right now, in that the
Yeah.
music industry is literally built so that you are the lowest on the totem pole. You
Yeah.
are all the way down here. Nothing works without you, right? We need the music, we need the art, we need you to do your thing, but everyone is exploiting you because you're allowing them, right? And we could flip this, and now why can't you be your own music business? Why can't you learn how to do this stuff and be your own label? What do you think about that?
I think that's such a terrible way of thinking because it's
What, being your own
literally
label?
no. Oh no, no, no. Thinking that all
I'm
these
taking
like
off my pants right now.
the time. Wow, that's interesting. Uh, you got me all flustered. No,
It's so hot in here. Ugh. All right. Go ahead.
what was the question?
Yeah. So as far
No,
as, being your own music business, being your own record label.
yeah, no, I totally forgot what the first part of your sentence.
No, and isn't that the way to do it? And the answer is yes. You have to step up, take control, and guess what? There's someone out there that can show you the way. Obviously, our entire channel here is dedicated to teaching you how to do this stuff yourself, because I am so underwhelmed with the standard record label, the standard record label, and yeah, I feel like I've taken us a bit off track.
I gotta get out of my system.
So anyway, why you're not being successful in the music business is because you're still wearing your pants, and that is
Apparently,
where we
that's what a lot of
land.
people think. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no. But you just I don't know, I think you're saying something that people are what was your just tell me what your third thing was.
We were on number 4. No,
4.
I already gave the
No,
gavel.
just
That
tell
was
me
the
what
end of
the
the
sense, because that's
segment.
gonna drive me nuts the whole night, the rest of the show. What was
No,
it?
the sentence was, what do you think about, artists essentially doing it for themselves, becoming their own music businesses, becoming their own record labels?
No, but I liked your analogy before that you were leading into it. That's what I
I
was
don't know.
talking.
I already said it and it was wonderful and we had the gavel, so the segment's over. Moving
All
on.
right, all right.
All right. Next. Let's jump into some entertainment news. What do you say?
Let's do it.
But first, we're gonna run a music video. What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Let's do it. We're gonna run Save Yourself, and while we're running Save Yourself, you guys can think about getting a top music attorney mug. We'll be right back.
A
That song and video always give me the feels. One of my
feels.
sure. This is where you say how much you love the song too.
Oh yeah. So I love the song. It's great. It's Save Yourself. Actually, I'll give you a little tidbit, a little inside information on that song. So that song was actually one that did not come together like super, super easy. It was one of those where I was going through a hard time in producing, where we were kind of going for a different sound, because that was kind of the catalyst for the entering the more the dark pop kind of stuff, or going back to a
Okay.
more of like a rock sound. Whereas before, the music was a lot more pop, I would say, or like, electronica kind of and so I remember for me making that transition was a little bit difficult, because I felt not out of my comfort zone, because I had done more music like that before I started working with Miss Crystal, but I ended up like actually finding some new things about myself that I liked, and the song, like, I loved how the song came out, but just I remember making that transition was just, I felt very insecure of myself and what I was doing, and going forward while going backwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think guys, if you if you're working with someone in any capacity, I think that it's really important to always provide support, observation, and support, right? So for me, and working with that Orko and just seeing his skill and really believing that what we were doing was right, it was exactly what I wanted, and pushing, because even in some of the uncertainty and some of the friction that occurred, really pushing through and being like, no, I believe in this, I believe in this vision, and just kind of sticking to your guns. But I think a big part of that is just lifting up, your partner in that. So in any
And it
case,
definitely became one of our more popular songs too, for sure, if not
yeah.
the most. So it's like, where I was feeling unsure, I think it was just, just my own, just kind of like insecurities, or maybe like some ego stuff that we kind of get as producers. And I'm really glad that I was able to push through it, because there was definitely times during the process of not just that, but just doing things, and when I tried things new before, where I would just want to pull the plug on something. And I'm so glad that I just went through it, because it opened up so many more doors.
I don't know about rock songs in the future, so what we are going to be getting a little more into is more of the cinematic dark
Yeah.
pop, which has rocky feels in it. So you guys are going to be really excited when you hear some of the stuff we're working on. But with that all being said, let's move on to some entertainment news.
All right.
Post Malone has reached settlement right on the eve of trial. He reached settlement with a musician who's claiming that he helped to create Post Malone's hit song, Circles. And so, of course, settlement has now ended the contentious lawsuit. But, again, the timing of this is really important because at this point, guys, I'm telling you, both sides have accrued hundreds of thousands of dollars of attorney's fees. So the
Wow.
fact that it gets this
Wow.
far along and then they settle, great. But the question comes up, who's paying those attorney's fees? But let's move back. Tyler Arms sued in 2020 over the Circle song, and he goes, Post Malone and him co-wrote it. Okay, and they're
Mm.
like, we were pulling an all-nighter. I was in the session with him, and then he just refused to give me credit, right? So, we hear this a lot for people who happen to be in the studio, and then it's interesting because someone will be like, in this case, Post Malone, you didn't do either anything or you didn't do very much. So then someone gets upset because even if they only contributed a small amount, they're entitled to something and they do have copyright, likely in the song. So in any case,
Yeah.
before the jury had been actually, selected and before they started the trial, there was settlement. So what do you think about this?
I think it's actually pretty interesting, and we've been covering a lot. We cover these kind of cases and things like this on this channel all the time, and we've been seeing a lot of settlements happening, which we kind of say, doesn't mean that they're aware of something, but they're just they're trying to take care of it. But they're claiming Arms or Armez. I'm not exactly sure how to say his name either. But he was like, I wrote, helped write the chords,
Mm-hmm.
the bass
Chords
line,
on
the
a keyboard.
guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and from what I understand, it was Post Malone was saying, he really didn't do that too much. He did a little bit. They tried to offer him 5% of publishing of it, and that Tyler was just like, nope. I'm not
Well,
looking.
let's talk about that for a sec. What do you think about 5% of publishing? So, if he did what he's saying, which is He helped write some of the chords on a keyboard, and he provided input on the guitar and bass line. Okay, so if you did all of those things on an artist song, and then the artist came back and said, well, I'll give you 5% of publishing, what do you think of that?
It depends where I'm at in my career, how much confidence I have in myself. Now, this guy has also produced for Lil Baby. He did the
Hmm.
"Forget That" song as well. Or he co-wrote some for that as well. So this isn't his first time working with a major artist, and he had some success himself. But I would say, if I'm writing, contributing, I would definitely want more than the 5% on the publishing. But we kind of heard in the case that we just talked about with the weekend for the "Call Out My Name" song, where his team member got a whole. That was a different situation, but his team member got the song and just like, let's just tell him that we wrote it, so we can just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, there's this whole like, you should just be grateful that the weekend is kind of going to touch your song or kind of do
Right. So
something.
in
Let's
this
just say,
case, Post
but in this
Malone,
case,
you
he was
should
in
just
there.
be
You should be
grateful.
grateful that you have a song that you're going to be able to, this song is huge. Like, you can't go into a grocery store without
What
hearing
was it? It
"Circles."
was a top 100 for like 3 weeks.
It's huge. It's a huge song. I mean, it's a. So I'm just saying, like, and it was one of those kind of crossover where you would just hear it on all kinds of different formatted stations, and like I said, I've heard it in the grocery store. So
Yeah,
I
so when it comes to kind of negotiating this, so typically Post Malone's label is going to own the master, so it's going to own the actual recorded song, so all that's left over is the publishing. And so if you're someone that really contributed to the song, you weren't paid. Okay, that's the other
yeah.
thing that we don't know. As far as him demanding, if you have made tens of thousands of dollars off of the song and whatever else happens with it, if it gets placements, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars in TV and film. Either way, there's going to be a lot of money coming in from this song. And so 5% of publishing, it's kind of
and
chump change. So I
and
can
and
understand why he would say, I don't think so.
and Post Malone's, manager was like, it's take it or leave it. It's 5% or just like nothing. And like, Tyler wants his credit. He wants his, that's a big deal for this guy to be a part of that. That's gonna if he's especially if it's documented that he's getting some writing credit, that's gonna open the doors to his career. Just his price is going to be able to go up because now you can go look on Wikipedia or just all the different song facts and stuff. BMI,
And
and you can
that's what he
see it.
alleged in his complaint. He goes, I've been damaged because
Absolutely.
of all of the new business and opportunity that would have come as a result of me getting the credit
Huge
that I
song.
deserved. And here's the thing, it's not uncommon that everyone gets credit on a particular song, right? Have we ever heard of a Beyonce song that has like 12 different
Right.
producers on
Right.
it? And it's very complicated. Everyone gets their amounts diluted, and I mean
And
it
it
is
was
what
in
it is.
and this was a situation where, we've seen cases. I believe even Cisco, if you watch that Thong Song documentary, I believe that the situation happened in there where this was a situation where Tyler was invited to do a writing session. They're like, "Oh, cool, like let's do this." So there was an invited session. But you have those situations where there's just people in the studio and they just might want somebody might walk around and go, "Hey, call it the Thong Song" or something like that. And you called it that, not even thinking anything of it, and now that guy is just, or just somebody's just in a room, and they're just claiming they take it. I came up with a baseline idea for it, and they may or may not have had anything to do with it.
Yeah, and I can't tell you, there are countless stories and lawsuits where it was just that scenario. Someone was in the room and someone dropped a bucket, and the bucket went clang, and it was picked up on the recording, which ended up being in the final song. And now someone has copyright claims and likely ownership in the song, and it's a mess. So, Chris, I love what you're saying, right? It doesn't matter who it is, right? You need to get a contract written by a trusted attorney. Like at this point, Post Malone, you're telling me you don't have a standard template and be like, hey, John's in the studio with me. I'm going to have you sign this thing, even if you just want to protect yourself and not find yourself in this situation. Now, I'll tell you why they don't do it. They don't do it because at the point that
It's
John
admitting,
or
right?
Tyler at this point, did something on the song and Post Malone's like, hey, I need you to sign this giving me full ownership. At that point, he'd be like, no. But
Well,
unfortunately, they deal with it
so
after the fact.
is there things, because I personally have never come across this, because it's like, when you're, especially when you're like, oh yeah, no, let's just come over, let's write some, let's mess around in the studio, let's see what happens. We don't know if anything's going to come from, let's just vibe out, because artists, they don't really want to talk business, they don't want to do that kind of stuff, they just want to vibe out and just see what they can do together. like, is there should artists have something, or end producers have something that's just an acknowledgement agreement? You acknowledge that we are sitting here working on stuff. We don't know if anything is going to come of it, but you're acknowledging that we're vibing out together. Like, so it's like, it's not like a hard contract. We're not talking ownership. We're not talking about what the song is. We're just both acknowledging that we're in the same room and we're writing stuff and something might come of this.
Well, you know what that's called? That's a split sheet. And I tell artists, I'm like, split sheets are great because as you're in it and you're doing something, you need something quick, you're gonna have a split sheet that says John and Jerry and Jane all wrote the song, and this is kind of what we did. So it's a little summary, but it's not a full-length contract. You need a proper contract, but it's something. Anything less than that would be maybe a deal memo, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe I don't know, because it's just because you don't want to kill a vibe, and especially like if you're okay, if you're a bigger artist and you're working with a more unknown person or somebody that you're giving an opportunity, it's incredibly intimidating for that person that you're giving an opportunity to, and not knowing what they should be doing, what's okay, just getting steamrolled over, and that's honestly, that's like why labels look for so looks for green talent or people that don't know a lot about the business, and why other producers would look for other producers to take under the wing that are just don't know anything about the business to exploit. It's an exploitive business. But I don't know, I just think there should be something to help some
Yeah,
of
it's
these
called an
situations.
email. It's called an email, guys. At a minimum, you'd be like, "Hey, Malone, it was great working with you on that Circle song. Let me know what happens." So you can at least create some kind of documentation of what happened, because at the end of the day,
Closed sessions.
people aren't going to want to sit down and do long form contracts often, and so they don't. But what you can do to better protect yourself is to document it through text messages, through emails, and so when it comes time for you to actually enforce, you have the evidence of what happened. All right, with all that being said, let's move on. We're talking about Gwyneth Paltrow.
Hey,
Do you want me to show some video? This is about to get juicy, guys.
this is pretty crazy.
The most juicy.
Has anybody been following this Gwyneth Paltrow thing? Like, this has kind of been taken over feeds and stuff. It's like it's the new Johnny Depp trial, just really shorter, a lot shorter. But
I saw a message come through a little while ago, and I'm just realizing our title says the trail verdict. Was there a
oh,
trail verdict?
there was a trail. It was the Oregon Trail.
You guys ready to hear about the trail verdict?
Yikes! Oh, I so did. Oh, you
Yikes!
know what? That's totally me. Don't think that she did it. I did it. I take
Yeah,
full
see
responsibility.
what I'm doing is that I'm allowing these videos to run and get the ad out of the way so we can watch them fresh and not have to
Oh
wait.
no!
So in the comments, where have you guys been watching this? Has anyone actually watched the Gwyneth Paltrow trial in any kind of way? Because I'm going to give you a summary crash course over everything that happened, and it's going to be amazing. Oh, that's funny, and I have an update on what they think she said. Okay, let's
All
jump
right,
into
I'm
this.
excited. I'm excited for that because that was pretty funny.
Yeah. All right, let me go over to this.
This is a perfect opportunity, if you haven't yet, to hit the like button on the stream. And we are broadcasting this out to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to a couple of YouTube channels. So there's a lot of different people watching all over. But make sure that you're joining the community over here on YouTube at Top Music Attorney.
Oh, that's so nice. All right, you let me know. You ready?
Hit it.
The big update happened. Gwyneth Paltrow wins the ski crash trial, and the jury awards her $1. Now, I don't want you to think the $1 is because she didn't have damages, she didn't have claims. As I understand it, her counterclaim against this guy who sued her was for $1, because I think she was just trying to make a point.
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to talk about in this segment is partially what she said to him after she won and when she was walking out of the courtroom. And there's a little update of what we think that she said, because I think she used the cursey words, but I could be wrong. So let's go back to the beginning. Gwyneth Paltrow, we had this trial. They found that she did not cause this ski accident with this doctor, and the jury says that it was in fact an accident. So they deliberated a very short time, 2.5 hours, before reaching the verdict. Now, Dr. Terry Sanderson, in fact, did cause the accident, and the jury awarded Gwyneth Paltrow in her countersuit, $1. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's $1 or $1 million or more than that. She won. Okay, and in fact, she was only seeking $1. So, as she was leaving the courtroom, she did say something to him. So, I just kind of want to go right into that. We care about the backstory, but I just want to get into the juicy stuff. So, let me share and show you guys what happened.
Was Gwyneth Paltrow at fault? No. Was Gwyneth Paltrow's fault a cause of Terry Sanderson's harm?
There's just no response there.
Was Terry Sanderson at fault? Yes. Was Terry Sanderson's fault a cause Gwyneth Paltrow's did Terry Sanderson's fault cause Gwyneth Paltrow's harm? Yes. Comparative fault. What percent of the fault do you assign to Terry Sanderson? 100%.
All right, so they really came down in her favor.
Fairly compensates Gwyneth Paltrow for economic damages. $1.
He's very upset.
Signed March 30th.
All right, so he's upset. So that's the pre-roll. That's the pre-roll. Let me now get. She's gonna get up, and she's gonna say something to him. So let me just cue that up. One sec. All right, here we go.
Was now adjourned. Thank you.
We are now adjourned. She's getting up.
Yes, everyone remains seated while
Everyone waits. She leans in. So she touched him on the back too. She said just a few words. Hand on the back. Now look, if this was a movie, if this was a TV show, she leans in and she's like, "I got you." Or, "How about that, doctor?" I mean, give me some phrases here. Now I have an update on what people think she actually said, but what do you think?
I mean, I think it would just like told you, or just, you know what I mean, or nice try or something like that. Like, I don't know if she's using the cursey words, but this whole trial was pretty crazy. Just some of the antics and how wildly different the two of their stories were. You know,
Right. But don't
he
get too off track. You're going
oh
into the actual discussion. So there's been an update as of 2 hours ago. So her attorney said that she whispered 4 simple words to him. "I wish you well." So
so
actually,
yeah, I knew
she's a
that.
classy lady,
Oh, come on.
and
That
good
was
for
sarc.
her,
That was
and
that was
good
a
for her.
backhanded. I wish you well. It's like when you work in a Starbucks or something, and you have one of those Karens that messes with you, whatever, and you're like, "Have a great day, ma'am." You know what I mean? It's like, come on,
No,
get
I
out of here.
mean, she more than likely she's a classy lady, and she won.
Class act.
So
Come
you
on.
guys are asking, so what happened? So the lawsuit was back in 2019, and what had happened was in 2016. So Dr. Terry Sanderson is saying that while they're skiing, she comes flailing about, slams into him from behind, and causes, he was suing her for $3.1 million, but causes, he said, a concussion, broken ribs, and brain damage. Okay, so then she fired back and in her countersuit, and she said, Now she's suing for $1, but she goes, you slammed into me. And in fact, she said that she thought that she was a victim of sexual assault. She goes, in the collision, he like came
Hmm.
up behind her and his skis went in between her legs and he was making these grunting sounds. So we heard, to your point, very vastly different stories about what happened here. And it was kind of a circus, to be honest, in how the attorneys were addressing the witnesses and asking the questions from what I saw anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they were the dude was like trying to compare her to like Jeffrey Epstein, and just saying like, celebrities need to pay, and like just like, and then he was like saying at one point, when which the judge told the jury to dismiss it because it was just like a ridiculous thing that he was just kind of just saying. And then when when he was like saying that she like slammed in behind him, he was just like, yeah, all I heard was this out of control, and he was just like trying to describe what was going on, and he's like, and then I went flying out of my flying when she impacted me, and then I guess Gwyneth Paltrow's lawyer was just like, you went flying, you went like, well, it felt like I did, and just I don't know, there's just a lot of little funny things.
Well, and then there was just kind of bizarre tactics by each side. So Gwyneth's attorney pointed out, I think this was in her closing, but she pointed out at some point that her client had lost all this family bonding time on the ski trip because of the crash, which isn't really material to anything. So that's just kind of odd. But then also on Sanderson's side, he bizarrely was telling the jury, and comparing to like Jeffrey Epstein. What was that about?
Yeah, no, just because he wanted celebrities need to be held accountable, and he was just trying to compare like, I don't know, it was a weird turn, but they shot they shut that right down as soon as it happened. So
Yeah.
what happens with legal fees in that situation? So she was awarded $1. Does he have to pay her legal fees?
Yeah, my understanding is that she was awarded in her, principal damages $1 plus her legal fees. And so again, I always go to how much has each side likely accrued at this point, and we are likely in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So he's not kind of getting off scot-free by any means because he forced her to go through this litigation. Okay, she won, so now she's going to come after him for all of her attorney's fees.
I'll tell you what, I hope that he, I hope that he did do it, and she didn't just get lucky and get over on him or something like that. Because that would suck if he has to dig in his pockets to pay for her legal fees. I don't even know what a Gwyneth Paltrow legal lawyer would be.
And this is how the good doctor is spending his night tonight.
So mean. Poor guy.
All right.
Why don't you go ahead and I'll take this great opportunity to tell people to do it like, and why don't you hit a refresh on your screen?
I'm going to do just that.
Fantastic. So perfect opportunity. If you haven't yet, if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube, whichever platform, go ahead and hit that like. And, just as another reminder, we do have that new Top Music Attorney merchandise available. We have the shirts. We have all kinds of different shirts and mugs and stickers. And it's a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Rock those out and make sure that if you do get them, and you post it on social media, make sure you tag Top Music Attorney at Instagram. That would be great.
Hey, well, thank you for joining us. All right, clan. Where's my timer? All right, so that Orko, you can, and Eric, you guys can keep track of me, and let's see how we do.
All right, guys.
All right, those of you in the chat. So we enter the last segment, which is always, I'm gonna give you just a hard training tip. Now, I covered this one with my students earlier today, and I just thought that it really concisely illustrated my thoughts about the music industry and what I think that artists should be doing with their careers to be successful. So I was like, let's talk about it today. So I'm going to share my screen, and you guys are going to get the student huddle experience. So let me find this. Here we go. All right, are you ready? Like, I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was. Like I'm blessing the microphone or something. All right. What do record labels do? That is such a common question, and I have the answer. As an actual music attorney, I've been doing this for 9 years. I have reviewed hundreds of record label contracts, so I know exactly what they say. And what your actual record label contract basically says is that the label is going to get you music distribution. So meaning they will take your music, they will ensure that it is distributed to all the music platforms. That's pretty much it. They usually make no commitment when it comes to, promoting, doing marketing, making sure you get live show bookings, any of that stuff. They never actually put that in the contract. What they do is that they sell you on lots of things and make lots of promises, but just so you know, it usually does not appear in the actual contract. So let's take a look at this. So what your contract says, label is going to get you music distribution. And in return, the label is always going to take ownership of your music, almost always. There might be some, great music label out there that's doing a unique kind of deal, but across the board, industry standard is the label owns the music, all right? And then not only are they going to own the music of what you sign to them while you're in the relationship, but a lot of labels also want your back catalog. So meaning, what else have you created? That comes in with what you sign, okay? And then also, last but not least, labels secure the rights to your future music as well. And they do this through what are called options. Options are essentially options for the contract to be extended by the record label. So record label might say, I'm going to sign you, we're going to do an initial 2 albums, and then we have an option to extend the term of the contract for another 2 albums if we decide to. Most of the time they decide to, unless maybe you're not making money, you're not doing well, but they probably aren't going to let you out of the contract. So that's what the contract says. Now, what good labels actually do is far different, okay? So when it comes to working with an actually great label, number one, they're going to force you to focus on building your audience. When it comes time to actually get leverage in the game of the music business, you have to be actively building your audience and finding the people who like your music and who like you. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to get through all these gatekeepers of, oh, can you help me? And can you introduce me to this person? And I should network and this and that. But at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is to build an audience that likes our stuff, that's going to come to our shows and buy our merchandise. And so understanding that that really is the top priority for any successful independent artist, independent business owner, well, that's at the top of the funnel. So that's going to be something that the record label should do as far as encouraging you to help you build, to put you in contact with people who can help and give you some training. Okay, so that's kind of phase 1. Let's build your audience. Let's build your soldiers who are going to get out the word about what you do. Phase 2 is that, well, now we got to figure out how are you going to make money? And we call this ancillary income. Okay, so ancillary income is going to be the stuff that is around what you do as a musician, as an artist, as a music producer. So if you are, for example, a music producer, you can put together sample packs, right? You can sell sample packs, you can sell beats, you can sell your time by mixing and mastering and making music for other people. So that is ancillary to what you are doing, but it's actually supporting what you're doing and making it possible. And why labels are smart is that they figured this out really early on. Okay, so back in the day with vinyls and cassette tapes and then CDs, well, they had to figure out the way to get the actual music to the consumer. So guess what? They came up with CDs and cassettes and everything in between that you use for technology to consume the music. And then we have now headphones, right? So they built all of these ancillary products to sell the music in conjunction with that actually ends up being the big money makers. So keeping that in mind, now we're thinking, okay, so how are we going to do this for ourselves? We'll come back to this. So what services, what can you sell? What can you do? Or if you don't have any skills right now that you think that you could sell to kind of help fund your career, what do you need to go learn? Okay. So then moving on, phase 3, build your team. Okay. We are not going to go and sign with people that we are not ready to sign with, okay? When it comes to your manager, industry standard is between 15 and 20% for what the manager gets paid. And PS, this is of gross income. Gross income means all the monies that come into related to your entertainment career, okay? So there's not going to be deduction because you bought your merch, right? You paid for all your merchandise and now you just got $500 of sales. You still need to pay your manager his or her 15 or 20%. So that's why getting super excited, I got to sign with a manager, that's cool, but it might be premature. Same with agents. They're going to take 10 to 15% commonly across the board. So what I suggest, And what record labels are typically doing is that record labels are not going to be signing with managers and agents. Record labels hire people. Okay, so record labels are going to hire, let's say, an operations manager, someone to come in and handle the day-to-day minutia for the artist. Okay, they're also going to hire people like social media managers. They're going to hire the people who are going to come in so that you actually can take the time to go and make the music and create the videos and have more of that leadership position. But in the beginning, guess what? You probably don't have the money to pay for those people, or you don't have a reason to bring those people into what you're doing. All right. So then once we have built an audience, and that is always a work in progress, figured out how to make money from music or ancillary income, right? Surrounding music so that hopefully we don't have to keep the day job. We can transition full-time into music. At that point, now it makes sense to bring people in because you already have operations going. And so you're going to bring people in who can take charge and help you. And so then you're at the point now, guess what? You are your own music business. Okay? So at this point, my question is, if you are your own music business, you know how to run things, you have a team to help, why wouldn't you sign yourself and become your own record label? Okay? So if you sign yourself, do the things, you can even go on and sign other artists. Right? We've seen so many artists become successful in the industry, and that's exactly what they do. They go and they start their own label because they're like, aha, I can do this. All right. So if you can learn to do all of this yourself, why can't you just become your own label? All right. Now I'm going to go back to the chat really fast. I'm going to make sure. All right, just a couple of questions as we're just jumping in this and we're doing this live. I just joined a new band. There are 4 of us and we've been playing 2 months. When should we get a written agreement and an LLC, right? So, when it comes time, you're in phase 4 and you're ready to start your own music business. You have a band, you have members of the company. You start an LLC. A limited liability company protects you, protects the members of your band, and it's something that you do to ensure that they can't come, right? So they, meaning someone who wants to sue you at some point, they can't come and take your car and take your house. They're going to have to sue your LLC. I have videos on the channel. Just search LLC on the search function. You can see how to do it, why you need to do it, and all the things. CJ, and when someone is unknown as a promoter, according to a lot of people, helping to promote with all the algorithms comes across to fans as obsession. Make sure you know who you're hiring, right? Jonathan, your switching distributors videos was excellent. Oh, thank you. I'm on CD Baby, but think I want to move to DistroKid, which is the best distributor. I have personally distributed with both DistroKid, CD Baby, Symphonic. I mean, I've distributed through all of them, to be honest. They pretty much all do the same. I really love DistroKid, so I'll just give you that. So then, circling back, when it comes to how we're actually going to execute and be like, the question is, what do record labels do? Everything I just described to you on what they do, that's the ideal, amazing record label that we all want to be signed to. That's not what your record label is probably going to do. So what I'm doing is kind of instilling the different phases of this progression so you can do it for yourself. And all the videos on this channel is to set you up for success, so you can do just that. If you guys found this helpful, please be sure to give this video a big like, subscribe. I'm going to help you get to where you need to go. All right, let me go back to the chat really fast. I just wanted to throw those in there. Len, I've been listening to your show on Spotify. Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah, guys, we don't just do the show here. Obviously, the hub is Top Music Attorney on YouTube, but you can also listen to the podcast on all the platforms. Spotify is definitely my favorite. All right, Mr. Producer on the other side of this, let's run one more video. What do you got for me? I think you had said, let me go back to the chat. All right, I think we have Dangerous Daughters, piano. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to be in the chat, guys. You are amazing. Please always, leave your questions because we do this live so I can actually answer your questions. In the meantime, we'll be on the socials, Top Music Attorney, or at Top Music Attorney for the lawyer stuff, Miss Krystle Live for all of the music stuff and more. And don't forget the new merch. Here we go. I'll tell you what, if someone gets the mug, come on a live stream and I might bring you on live so we can just have our mugs together. And cheers. All right, guys. I love your faces. Thank you very much. And we'll watch a video now. See you next week. Bye.
I woke up from your rage, smack that beautiful medicine. Blood spills from my face, love my beautiful punishment. You know just how much I can take, so don't worry about it. Your love is driving through the pain. Have faith about it. Little girls grow up as dangerous daughters. Don't blame me, just blame my father. Little girls grow up as dangerous daughters. Don't blame me, just blame my father. You let me down when I need now. You let me down. You let me down when I need now. You let me down. Light of my life, light of my life, light of my life, light of my life. Light of my life, light of my life, light of my life, light of my A lesson learned in faith, trust when I do.